In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, do you ever wonder why people think the way they do? If so, you're already dipping your toes into philosophy. People everywhere, from ancient times to today, have always thought about life's big questions. And a lot of that thinking started way back in ancient Greece. These early thinkers tried to figure out what the world is made of and what life is all about. Let's dive into some of their cool ideas. One of the first big questions was, what is everything made out of? Thales, an early philosopher, thought everything was made of water. But another philosopher named Heraclitus said, nah, it's all fire. He thought this because fire is always changing, just like the world. Then Anaximander joined in, saying there are 4 elements that make up everything: earth, water, air, and fire. And Democritus had a new idea. He thought the world was made of tiny, invisible particles he called atoms. Pythagoras came up with a totally different thought. He believed everything could be explained by numbers and math. Wild, right? Then along came Socrates, who thought philosophy was super important, but he noticed most people didn't think deeply about why they did things. So he started teaching by asking people a ton of questions. Imagine if you were talking to him, Socrates, why are you going to the store? I need food. Socrates, why? Because I'm hungry. Socrates, why? And he'd just keep going. Socrates was trying to get people to think about what they believed and why. Unfortunately, his questioning style got him into trouble, and he ended up getting executed for it. But his students carried on his ideas and kept asking questions about life. One of those students was Plato. He had a big idea about how the world works. Plato believed that everything has a physical side and a soul side. He thought the soul was more real than the body because, according to him, the soul could understand deep ideas. Plato came up with the idea of a place he called the world of forms, where all ideas exist. For example, the idea of a perfect apple exists in this world, even if we only see regular apples around us. Plato thought that these forms were even more real than what we see. Plato's student Aristotle had a different take. He agreed that ideas were important, but thought they didn't exist in some other world of forms. Instead, he said the essence or form of something was right there in the object itself. So to understand something, we should study the thing itself. Aristotle also believed in a first cause that set everything in motion, which he thought of as God. Eventually, a Greek named Alexander spread these Greek ideas all over as he conquered different places. Later, when the Romans came along, they picked up on these Greek ideas too. These thoughts kept spreading, and soon many were learning about philosophers like Plato and Aristotle. When people began exploring ideas about God, they used a lot of Greek philosophy to explain things. For example, early thinkers borrowed Plato's idea of the soul to explain how humans are more than just bodies. They have a spirit too. Later, philosophers like St. Augustine were inspired by Plato's ideas and used them to talk about goodness and truth, saying that these are all eternal and come from God. Then along came Thomas Aquinas, who used Aristotle's ideas to explain the nature of God and the world. In the end, Greek philosophers and their ideas had a huge influence on the way people think. They didn't just ask questions for fun. They were trying to understand the world and figure out what's real. And guess what? People are still asking these big questions today. Don't forget to subscribe to Sword of Spirit. Like the video, share it, and definitely express your opinions in the comments section.